to KANISHKA. I am Srinivas Sanidhanam. I am into this line of teaching, particularly the PSIR, Political Science and International Relations, for almost more than a decade. With all my experience, I would like to suggest to the aspiring students why opting political science as an optional will be very handy in terms of their preparation. Because when you look at the pattern of the exam, as everyone is aware, especially those who are very serious aspirants, that apart from the prelims, the mains part in particular, you have an essay followed by 4 general studies papers. Politics in particular will help you to develop new ideas, which helps in terms of promoting a comprehensive analysis in terms of your essay paper. Out of the given choice of 3, 1 definitely relates to politics. Apart from essay, even with respect to the 4 general studies papers, at least there will be 30 to 50 marks from politics in GS1. And GS2 anyway deals with politics as a whole. And even in economy, there are many decisions which are politically governed. So roughly around another 30-40 marks you get from politics. And finally the ethics. A political understanding of society helps in promoting or creating a clarity in pursuit of ethical life. So on the whole, PSIR or the concepts in politics helps you to deal easily with all these papers. Not only this, even your personal interview program is definitely gaining substance through political understanding. So this is one part of it. The second part of it is, if you are a serious aspirant and obviously you are also dealing with the current affairs. For example, we know what is happening in the recent past at Jantar Mantar, the rise of Cockroach Janata Party. Cockroach Janata Party is a sudden emergence, probably no one ever anticipated. This is the beauty of political life. Because many of us do not know what politics is. But we continue to remain part of a society which is dominated by political ideas. As soon as you step outside your home, you are part of a political life. As long as you continue to remain within your home, probably you are part of a personal life. Right? So this distinction is very crucial in understanding these ideas identified with the understanding of politics. So political science in particular deals with certain concepts, right? The major concepts that are identified as part of this paper. In particular, first concept that we have is state, followed by justice, equality, rights, democracy, power. These are central to political life. So you don't find state in your private life. You don't find justice, because the justice that we identify at home is something that is different. We don't find the idea of equality at home because Hindu societies or Indian societies are mostly hereditary and patriarchal. Since they are hereditary and patriarchal, you don't find equality or the stress of equality at home. So even gender inequality finds justification. And rights, because we are not right-seeking society, we are a duty-centric society. Because of the domination of tradition in our life. And we don't look at democracy and we assume power as something as part of domination. So we never look at power as power to empower. We only look at power as a source of domination. And that's the reason why politics is completely different from our personal life. Because personal life, whatever you are, whether you are part of a hereditary patriarchal society, right, that finds justification. So we are not dealing with state, but the authority is something that is socially customed. So your father, if he is controlling you, it is not because he has acquired this authority as part of any legitimate source, but this is something that is inherited as part of tradition. Right? So because this is something inherited as part of tradition, so he continues to exercise. Tomorrow when you become father or mother, you try to exercise the same control because this is something that is inherited as part of customs and practices, that is tradition, social customs. Got it? So we are not looking in terms of state, but we are looking in terms of social prejudices, social customs, social traditions, social practices. Similarly, when you look at justice, the idea of justice is also something different. If you look at the justice in the outside your family, outer world, we try to identify justice in terms of competitiveness. But whereas justice in terms of a family is something around self-service or self-sacrifice or something that is based in terms of your emotions. Here justice is governed by reason, rationality, and whereas in family life, justice is based on self-sacrifice. Similarly, when you look at equality, as I said, equality is something that did not find any justification in conservative societies, but in progressive societies probably equality is also something that is significant. When you look at rights, we don't seek any rights at home because we are trained. We are trained as part of the socializing process since our childhood to obey. So we never really think in terms of the rights. So we are not a right-seeking society. And that is the reason why even democracy did not appear to be so fascinating in public life. So we are willing to accept some external authority as something as legitimate. But the beauty of democracy is democracy should help in terms of democratizing society. So that's the reason why these concepts, justice, democracy, they evade any specific definition. There is no one single definition to the idea of justice. There is no one single definition to the idea of democracy. Right? Some consider democracy to be protective, some consider democracy to be developmental, some identify or visualize democracy as elitism, and some identify democracy as a practice of plural politics. So there is no one single definition to identify these specific concepts, particularly whether the idea of state, whether the idea of justice, whether the idea of equality, whether the idea of rights, whether the idea of democracy, or whether the idea of power. This is where the subject matter becomes even more interesting. So if it comes with only one single definition, probably your work is very limited in terms of preparation. But since it evades any specific definition, so in that context what happens? You find a lot of opportunity to interpret. Interpretation becomes a very significant aspect in political life. For example, take any event like 17th September. 17th September 1948. What happened on this? On this day, Hyderabad was merged into Indian Union. One single event. Event is one, but there are multiple interpretations. Some call it betrayal day, some call it integrating day, some identify it as liberation day. BJP identifies it as liberation, Congress as integration, and Communist as betrayal day. Everyone has their own reasons in terms of identifying one single event. This is where politics is. So it does not come with any one single interpretation. It comes with multiple interpretations, and everyone has their own justification in terms of interpreting a particular event. Got it? So this is where the questions also become very dynamic. Then how to answer? Because as I said, even if you look at the structure of the syllabus, if it can be divided into three parts: classical, modern, and contemporary. Classical theory was engaged in everything identified with nature, whether Indian thought or Western thought. One single idea is everything they identified with nature, because nature was so dominant that humans probably could not do anything. So instead of challenging the nature, they try to identify harmony with nature. This is where the classical political ideas are built or shaped. Whether you look at ancient Greek thought like Plato, Aristotle, up to say Machiavelli, or even Indian thought like Manu, Kautilya, Manu, they are all mostly predominantly dominated by this idea of a nature, human nature or the external nature, which is very dominating. You cannot change it. So that's the reason why you have to seek harmony with nature. This is how the political ideas are shaped during the classical phase. But when we come to modern phase, modern idea rejected nature with artificial. Artificial means everything is man-made. So they did not accept anything to be given. So everything can be made. So humans can make anything. So humans can make state, humans can make society, humans can make family. So nothing is given. So past everything was given, something that is inherited which you cannot change. But now the modern political ideas is nothing is given, everything can be changed. So this is a very powerful idea. This is how the artificiality has brought into modern thought. This is something that comes with, say again Machiavelli, probably up to Marx, Karl Marx. This idea of modern political ideas, which again based on universals. Universals in the sense that something applicable to everyone. Right? This is how the political ideas are shaped. But when we look at contemporary, this is where we are today. Contemporary comes with two different things. One is it continues with artificiality, but here it rejected universals and brought in particulars. It rejected the idea of universal and brought in the idea of particular. What does this idea of particular is? Because universal appeal to humanity or universal appeal to rights of man, like liberty, equality and fraternity, that did not extend to everyone because the society continued to remain divided. So there are sections of population who are not even identified with these rights. So they started raising questions. This is where you find women's liberation. Women started recognizing that the rights of man does not include the rights of women. So they rejected this idea of universal and said that everyone should also be benefited through the rights, right? So this is where you find the Dalit interest, the women's interest, the minority interest. So likewise, more and more particulars started coming to the fore. This happened not only in the context of India, but it also happened elsewhere, even in America. Blacks started demanding the rights. Martin Luther King Jr., he raised this issue of black rights. This is something that continues to represent America even in the present. Just 4 or 5 years back we saw Black Lives Matter movement. This is what we talk about particulars. That means the idea of universals, rights of man, does not equally benefit everyone. There are certain sections of the population, not only in India, but also across the world, Europe, America, Latin America, Asia, who are not truly benefited. So they are the ones who started raising the voice. The rights of man should universally appear to be the rights of everyone. That did not happen. This is where the political dynamics started reimagining. And this is where the contemporary ideas are. So contemporary political ideas are not based on finding a simple solution. So contemporary political ideas are grounded in identifying political problems, not solutions. So this is a problem probing, not problem solving idea, right? So this is a clear, simple characterization or structuralization of the syllabus. Got it? So one side, what we try to understand is why we should study politics, how it benefits in your preparation of essay writing, how it benefits your GS preparation, General Studies paper 1, paper 2, paper 3, paper 4. And as far as optional is concerned, we are all part of a political life, which we cannot escape from, right? So in order to identify what is political, we try to differentiate between personal and political. So personal is something that we identified as part of our family life, right? So political is something that we identify as part of our external life, outside the family. And what is that we confront in our political life? We confront these concepts. Because in your political life, invariably you are brought under state. Once you step outside your home, you are part of a legitimate authority, that is state. Followed by, you are always in struggle to seek justice. And this struggle leads to competition in the external world. And what do you want? We want equality. Why we want equality? Because the idea of equality did not percolate to everyone. There are certain who continue to remain socially unequal even today. So it is not economic equality we are talking about. We are also talking about socio-political and economic equality. This is where justice is. And to realize that you need rights. So rights are no longer universal because certain sections of the population are alienated from the way of life, that is the right way of life. So they are seeking to regain the rights that are alienated. And if you realize all this, then you are part of a successful democracy. And successful democracy should help in terms of realizing power, power not based on domination, but power based on empowerment. Right? So this is a simple way of understanding the whole paper. So I gave you a structure in terms of understanding the differences between classical, modern and contemporary political ideas. And if you look at the struggle that is happening in international politics today, that is all based on this idea of power. Of course, they are talking about military power today. That's the reason we are confronted with geopolitical syndrome or geopolitical dilemma, right? Whether it's a Ukraine crisis or Palestinian crisis or crisis across the world, whether in Africa, Asia or Europe. This is all a power struggle that is going on. And the power is not in the nature of empowerment, but in the nature of domination. This is what has actually created a politically fluxed situation where power politics or geopolitics dominate the entire political syndrome across the world today. Right? So if you have a clear understanding of these concepts, particularly the concepts in terms of their root understanding, what state is, what justice is, what equality is, what rights are, what democracy is, and what power is, your preparation is done. Right? A clarity in terms of understanding these basic concepts, core concepts, helps in terms of elaborating your analysis or writing your answers explicitly, right, irrespective of the question. And that is the reason why I suggest choosing PSR may be one of the most appropriate decision for the aspiring students. Thank you.